Major General retired Byron Hepburn currently serves as the Associate Vice President and Director of the Military Health Institute at UT Health here in San Antonio, Texas. Dr. Hepburn is a distinguished graduate of both the United States Air Force Academy and the Uniformed Services University of Health Sciences School of Medicine. Dr. Hepburn is also a recipient of the MAJ Trophy for his participation in the USS Cole Medical Evacuation Mission. Now, please enjoy the following talk on the Military Health Institute at UT Health presented by Major General retired Byron Hepburn.
Some Navy folks over there too, so we look forward to collaborating even more in the year ahead. So let's get started about how our institute helps you with your research activity. The Military Health Institute was started in 2014 here at UT Health San Antonio, and our mission really is to enhance our collaboration with the research primarily, but also education, clinical care, and general engagement as well. But the ultimate goal is just like your goal is to make lives better, not only for a wounded warrior in the combat zone, but obviously our military families, their children here and globally, really. I had 42 years in the Air Force and literally was all over the globe, as with my family. So we know it's a family discussion as well, this research that we're doing. We've got a really strong team at the Military Health Institute. It's a small team, but we really, I would say, punch above our weight with Dr. Nelson, who's PhD in neuroscientist, Dr. Don Jenkins, trauma surgeon with a lot of deployed experience, Alan Peterson, who leads the consortium for PTSD, probably the largest consortium in the mental health domain, and then some really great supporting team members as well to make it happen. Our pillars are just there, but we're very proud of this research activity. And our university does a lot of DoD research and VA research. And a lot of that research, as you know, is combined, both DoD and VA funding. And we'll be doing more of that in the future. These are our strengths. We do a lot of trauma-related research. As you know, UT Health and University Hospital, we are a level 1 trauma center, as is the Brooke Army Medical Center. And we're teamed to deliver high acuity trauma care across the region. And with that, to make it even stronger and better care is a research element. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But the other area that we're doing more and more is in the area of brain health and brain injury, whether it be traumatic brain injury. And as many of you know, there is an evolving threat to our men and women in uniform and other government employees in the directed energy arena. Our adversaries have no compunction about using directed energy, microwave energy, what have you, against their adversaries. And we have to be able to know more about it and how to protect against it and mitigate its effects. So the behavioral health areas of military operations are considerable. They always will be, not only to the men and women in uniform, but obviously their family members. So we're very mindful of that, and we have a lot of research being done with Dr. Peterson's team, not only over BAMC, but up at Fort Hood as well. They have a pretty significant footprint with those Army divisions that are up there and looking at their populations as well. So, and with those mental health morbidities, there are other comorbidities, sleep disorders and pain and so forth. So those are being tended to as well. You probably read and see a lot, and some of you are probably engaged in it, as precision medicine. That's a term, an umbrella term that's probably maybe used a little bit too much, but I think all of you know what we're getting at is how to be more targeted in our research, in our therapeutics, our diagnostics, and we certainly have faculty that are very engaged in that space and very competent in it. Pain will always be, unfortunately, I'm a board certified family physician as well as a pilot physician. And, a lot of our military morbidity is in musculoskeletal injury as an example, with a lot of chronic pain and acute pain and how to deal with that. Certainly, our wounded warriors have to deal with pain, whether it be the amputee or the burn patients. And we want to really make sure we're dealing with that acute and chronic aspects of pain to mitigate and prevent it evolving to that next bullet there, substance abuse. And a lot of this has been due to polypharmacy. I know that I see that in family medicine frequently, where you have people that have significant opioid dependence or other benzodiazepine dependence, for example, And we want to obviously, for the years ahead, avoid that or make sure we're taking care of it if it does occur. Cancer is another area that we're very strong in. We have the MAJ Cancer Center here at our university, and we are affiliated with MD Anderson in Houston. A lot of great researchers over there, and we know and we want to do more collaboration with the Hematology Oncology Department over at BAMC. We have in the past. We want to continue to do that, nurture that collaboration. Imaging, not only neurosciences, but imaging in general is an area that we have a lot of strength in, and we'll have evolving strengths in, particularly when we get into artificial intelligence and diagnosing different images and so forth. So a lot of great opportunity in the imaging domain. I think many of you know this, with the evolving focus on value-based care and quality care, outcomes, patient safety, there will be appropriately a focus on health services research. And so we stand ready to help with that effort with the team over at BAMC and the broader San Antonio Military Health System. And the last bullet there, I think, is something very important for San Antonio. The fact that we have over 200,000 veterans here in San Antonio. And unfortunately, we have a fair amount of wounded warriors that are here in our city. They're here for good reason. They have great care, and they also have great support for their family members. But we want to track their outcomes and look at how they're doing longitudinally, and their families and how they're doing longitudinally. That's a great kind of research effort that we can do combined with the DoD and the VA. So we'll continue to focus on that in the years ahead. Here, I just want to put up a couple examples of our faculty, our great faculty, and what they're doing. Dr. Sharma is working with Dr. Kevin Chung over at the Uniformed Services University, and the team over at BAMC, some of your infectious disease nephrology folks, your fellows that are here in San Antonio, on a blood filter trial called the Purify trial. And this pathogen filter is really saving lives during this pandemic. It also has great potential to save lives in sepsis. So a lot of great work being done there in a collaborative way with the military, not only here, but up in Washington as well, and the Uniformed Services University. But he is also very engaged in our university focus on precision medicine, metabolomics, proteomics, and so forth. So, and that is great work being done with the ISR, being funded through the CDMRP program. Dr. Nicholson is another one of our up-and-coming stars, and she leads our trauma research in the Department of Surgery. And she has a great collaborative trauma think tank that meets monthly. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. But her focus has been in the gastrointestinal biome, but also is doing some work in hypertonic saline and wound closures. And that's being done in conjunction with our Air Force colleagues over at the 59th Medical Wing at Lackland. Don McGeary is another one of our stars, and he is really engaged in a holistic approach to pain management, interprofessional teaming to deal with some of these chronic pain issues. The one on the top there is the post-traumatic headache that'll be combined DoD and VA. He's been very of interest to me as a family physician. Is he's got a protocol that's DoD funded, looking at how do you do pain management in primary care. For those that are in family medicine or primary care, you know that we have in the military model embedded, we have had for some time, embedded psychologists, social workers dealing with the mental health dimension, integral to the medical home model, which is very powerful and effective. And then Don just got a couple of other grants regarding the use of cannabinoids in chronic pain, headache with the VA, which is unfortunately very, very needed because a lot of our veterans are using marijuana and so forth, or cannabinoids. Anyway, we want to make sure if they are going to be using it, we can find out what variant of cannabinoid can be used safely and effectively for their pain or head injuries and so forth. Jim Licklider is one of our neuroscientists, really premier neuroscientist, looking at a therapeutic for traumatic brain injury. And that is in collaboration with the Institute of Surgical Research and the Army Research Laboratory. So great work there. Well, what are our opportunities? I mean, many of you know that if you pick up a journal, I don't care what discipline it is, there's more and more discussion about how do we blend in machine learning, artificial intelligence in everything we're doing. And fortunately, here in San Antonio, there's a lot of competency in that space. And our faculty are partnering across the UT system, this consortium for AI and diagnostics, across some really powerful universities in the UT system. Our neighbor here to the north, UTSA, has an AI consortium, Matrix, and they are very eager to partner in the area of health. And so there's another partner opportunity for the team over at BAMC. A sidebar, but it's important, they realize the importance of security for health systems is the National Security Collaboration Center at UTSA. And General Guy Walsh, retired Air Force, runs that center, but they know that cybersecurity includes the security for health systems. And when we talk about health systems research, obviously, I think in the years ahead, there'll be some element of research in that area as well. UTSA just stood up an Institute for Regenerative Medicine. And as many of you know, the DoD has had a focus, will have a focus on regenerative medicine, bone, nerve, skin, and certainly with the work that's being done over at the ISR/Burn Center over at BAMC, that work will continue to be very, very important. An exciting area is this whole notion of the 5G networks that are taking place in telemedicine. And I know BAMC is a telemedicine center of excellence, if you will, in a large regard for DoD. So, and I know Joint Base San Antonio has a telemedicine effort ongoing. So our institute will certainly partner with that effort and making sure there's synergy for our research activity. And there should be outcomes research on that. As over this pandemic in the last year, we've seen how important telemedicine is, not only for international operations, but certainly for our home station operations within the military health system. And the last bullet there, I already talked a little bit about it, but many of you know, I don't know if some of you are on this call right now or over in the HEMONC department doing clinical trials, but there is always a need to advance the art and science of HEMONC therapy, and we can certainly partner in the clinical trial area there. We certainly intend to. Last year, before COVID, we went over and talked to the director over there, and we were initially talking about sarcoma research as an example of one space we might want to get into. We're already doing a fair amount of breast and prostate cancer research, but that's not to say that we couldn't do more in lung and these other very serious illnesses and illnesses, excuse me. Okay, so there's a screenshot of the various partners which you also, I'm sure, are leveraging, and it makes San Antonio a powerful research space. So the VA on the left, your unit there, the BAMC Crest there, and Institute of Surgical Research. There will be research over the METC with the enlisted training that's taking place over there. There should be on their outcomes, and we should be doing that as well. And then I touched on a little bit, the Army Research Laboratory actually has embedded personnel over at our university now. And the primary focus right now is this directed energy research, but what a great opportunity for that research to grow and flourish in the years ahead. Naval partners, some of you may be on the call today at the Naval Medical Research Unit. They're here in town, they're not too far from you, and certainly a great opportunity to collaborate there. The Center for the Intrepid, with the work that's being done there for rehabilitative medicine, state of the art, and we pray that they're not busy in the years ahead, but I wouldn't be so naive that we have to prepare for the next conflict and do the research. So we're advancing the art and science for that therapy and for the devices that are needed to best care for those individuals over there. The other partners, and some of you are on this call, are from the 59th Medical, I'm sure. They have their clinical research division in their science and technology area there with a lot of competencies too, and we want to certainly leverage that. The other crest that's on there is up in Wright-Patterson, Ohio, but they have a presence here in San Antonio, is the Human Performance Wing in the Air Force. And so all things human performance, what a great opportunity. And it will always be a focus for all the services, not just the Air Force, obviously, but for our soldiers, our Marines, and our Navy personnel as they go forward around the world. Now, to make all this happen, you have to have an administrative foundation. I hate to say it, but you've got to have the the paperwork in order before we take off. So we've got these master cooperative research agreements, and we certainly have one with the MedCom, which covers the Brooke Army Medical Center, but we also have them with, because of the separate command structure, Institute of Surgical Research, NAMRU, we touched on the ARL. We also have with the 59th, and then the broader UT system has one with the Defense Health Agency. And then we certainly are partnered with the Uniformed Services University. We're very proud to be partnered with, which is my alma mater. And that's a great university doing great work in a lot of different domains. And we want to leverage that opportunity to partner with them. Many of you know this, but here in San Antonio, these other research partners are very powerful and very, very capable. We touched on UTSA, so the biomedical engineering departments are over there. The basic science departments are over there. We are separate UT system universities, but we partner a lot. The other ones in town that are very helpful in doing a lot of DoD research, one of which is the Texas Biomedical Research Institute. It's not too far from Lackland Air Force Base on that southwest side of town. And there they have the primate labs, and they do a lot of basic pharmacologic research. Virology, for example, they have a BSL-4 lab. They have and can do research like on pathogens like Ebola. And so it's a great partner for infection. They are have been very busy over the last year with the COVID response and doing some of the initial diagnostics on the evaluation of the therapeutics and the vaccine development and so forth. So I would see that institute growing in importance and growing in importance for all of you as potential partners. Southwest Research Institute, although a lot of their research is hard engineering, space engineering, motor vehicle engineering, what have you, but they do a lot of work in human performance, and they also do work in the development of therapeutics and encapsulation of therapeutics and so forth. So another potential partner for you. The one on the bottom right, the Medical Foundation, many of you have already done this, but every year they have a call for abstracts, and they have a research funding line, usually about $50,000, $100,000 grants for up to 2-year research, usually a 1-year research project, but it's a good startup money, if you will. And those calls will go out on an annual basis. Good opportunity to get things started. And then Biomed SA is building the ecosystem here in San Antonio between academia, the military, and obviously our industry partners too. The FAVR, many of you may not even know about that, but that's the foundation. It's kind of like the Henry Jackson Foundation for the VA. And they're very active here in San Antonio to help the VA research enterprise. I touched on it a minute ago, but our university is partnering with the Defense Health Agency. A big one is in modeling and simulation. And we're part of a broader consortium with Mayo, Uniformed Services University, University of Pittsburgh, and the University of Maryland on modeling and simulation. And we're already in dialogue with Colonel Tyson Becker over at BAMC on your trauma teams. But there'll be opportunities for modeling and simulation research. And I know BAMC has a great modeling and simulation center over there. And there are research opportunities over at the for Camp Bullis, with the field modeling and simulation. We'll talk a little bit about the trauma team training here in a little bit. But the partnership that we have with the DHA at the UT system level has focused initially on 3 things: on trauma, telemedicine, telehealth, and health systems research. But it certainly has the potential to grow even further and broader in the years ahead. And we just talked about the MAJ consortium, and then the embedding trauma teams in civilian hospitals. Many of you have read about it, or many of you may have participated in some of those activities the Army has had in other areas across the US. The Air Force has been embedding teams or rotating teams through trauma centers for some time, like Baltimore Shock Trauma, St. Louis University, and University of Cincinnati for our critical care transport teams. But the Army is doing it more and more, and so is the Navy as well. So that's where this comes in, is the STARK program, and many of you probably know about that, but Colonel Becker leads that over at BAMC. And this coming up year, they'll have 8 teams rotating through BAMC. But the thought is that program will expand out to about 20 teams a year. And once we pop out of COVID's, some of those teams will rotate over to our university. But there very appropriately should be research being done, like in modeling and simulation, for example, pre-training, pre-deployment. You train the individual, validate their performance, and then bring them back post-deployment to see if there's any skill decay or whether it was retained or enhanced, perhaps. So that kind of evaluation, will be doing some outcomes research with that very appropriately. The trauma think tank is, for those of you that are interested in the trauma space and all things trauma, whether it be infectious disease or some of the other comorbidities, there is a monthly meeting. There's the point of contact there, Ms. Boydos. And right now, obviously, it's virtual. I don't know, they'll probably start up some physical presence in the not too distant future, certainly for those that have been immunized. So I would imagine that'll start at some point here in the not too distant future, meeting together. But when we did meet together last year, you had presence from BAMC, ISR, 59th Medical Wing. It was great, and it still is great, but it's a virtual meeting to cross-pollinate, get ideas, and facilitate that proactive thinking about what research is being done and what should be done. The same type of structure is being developed, it has been developed in the area of brain injury, and that also is a monthly meeting and includes diverse partners. And certainly we would welcome participation in that. And the point of contact there is Ms. Bounds, if you want to reach out to her, and she can get you connected so you can join that. Certainly if you have interest in any of those areas, brain health, neuroscience, certainly think about joining that one as well. There's a logical continuum across from intellectual property and the development of new ideas and innovation, whether it be a device or a therapeutic, and then commercializing it. And we want to make sure for our faculty members that are thinking about doing that, there are partners that can help with that. And believe it or not, if done appropriately and coordinated appropriately, even men and women in uniform can commercialize a product and have some of that intellectual property reside with them and still not violate any federal regulation and everything. It has to be done, it has to be coordinated, but it can be done. And so I want you to just be aware there are partners here in San Antonio to help with that kind of dialogue and mentoring for those of you that are interested in moving a therapeutic or a product forward in development. Some up and coming activities that are really, if you are new to San Antonio or new to this space or didn't participate last year, is the SURF. That's an acronym, it'll give you a headache, but it's a San Antonio Military Health System and Universities Research Forum, SURF. So we're already up to year number 7 this year, and it occurs there on the bottom left. It'll be virtually this year, obviously, 10 June. Hopefully this time next year, we'll do it again in person up at UTSA in their nice conference center there. It's a great opportunity to network, but cover military-related teams and topics, with military and civil collaborators. And we certainly, to some degree, we'll be bringing out the UT system partners in on it. And then we'll also bringing in industry partners when it makes sense to. And we've had speakers come in from Washington, Medical Research and Development Command, for example, speaking to mentor our folks. So you can see the topics there, and a lot of them are similar to the topics we talked about a minute ago about our university focus, but infectious disease being another one that's very, very important, obviously, in this last year and every year, really, when you talk about operational deployments. I hope, we don't know yet, but there's some discussion about the Military Health System Research Symposium being in person this year. We'll find out. It usually is in August, and it's usually held in Florida. Last year it was virtual, but obviously very operationally focused, but it's very broad in scope, with a lot of great participants that usually get involved when we do it in person. So we'll see how it goes this year. We've got a couple more months to go before they make a decision, I would imagine. But I would encourage you, those that are involved in military research, if nothing else, and you've never attended MHSRS, join it virtually this year and pick out some topics that are relevant to the kind of things that you're interested in and learn from that. And certainly if it's safe for us to gather in person, I would encourage you to do that. Just as I would encourage you to participate locally and contribute to the SURF, I would encourage the same thing for the Military Health System Research Symposium. Now, what can we do for you? And so the Military Health Institute, and here's our contact information. Please, this is probably the most important part of this whole briefing, is that please feel very comfortable in reaching out to us, Dr. Nelson or myself. And if you are looking for a partner here at UT, you have an idea you want to run by us, and you need us to link you up with a cancer researcher or somebody dealing wound healing, you pick the topic. We will do our best to find the appropriate faculty member or department to work with you and to help mentor you. So as you move along, and for some of you, you'll have adjunct appointments over here. Some of you already do in an academic home over here, ortho, peds, whatever the area is of research, and we'll help facilitate that. But we build bridges over here at the Military Health Institute. That's our role: build partnerships, strengthen partnerships, kind of get through some of the fog and friction of things. And when things are confusing, we try to navigate the admin space so we make it easier for you, so you can partner with us, because we do see how important this research is to better the lives of our soldiers, our sailors, airmen, and Marines. It's a dangerous world out there, and we do send our men and women in harm's way. We'll continue to do that, and we need to make sure that we have the health support for them for the evolving threats of the future. So that's a lot of information in a short period of time. I wish you every success. I know you have a great agenda, great topics being covered and to be covered, and hopefully you'll be able to go back to these slides and at least reference them. And again, the most important one, if you want to do a screenshot, is this last one here, so you can reach out and touch us, and don't hesitate to do so. We do want to help you be successful now, and even in the years ahead when you PCS from BAMC and go on to your next assignments. We'll stand ready to help you as you move on in your professional journey. So have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the meeting, and God bless you all. Take care.